Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Lucius Annaeus Seneca, a famous Roman philosopher, held various important roles in history. He served as a consul, educated the Emperor Nero, and was the richest person in the Roman Empire, while also being a philosopher. His philosophical approach was a mix of different ideas, but mainly centered on Stoicism. Seneca's personal philosophy reflected his life, emphasizing morality, discipline, and self-control. So, how can we apply this ancient wisdom to our modern lives? Here are 6 key lessons we can learn from Seneca. Lesson number 6. Accept reality. A happy life is one which is in accordance with its own nature. Seneca believed that living in harmony with nature was the key to a fulfilling life. To understand why, we need to delve into the philosophy of Stoicism, which greatly influenced Seneca's thinking. The Stoics taught that the natural world is a harmonious unity, governed by a powerful force they called pneuma. This force constantly works to achieve its purpose, and to go against it is illogical. The universe operates according to a rational and divine plan, and aligning with this plan is the path to virtue and ultimately happiness. Seneca's message can be summed up with a quote: "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich." This means that by living in sync with the world around us, we can find contentment and abundance. But if we constantly seek external validation, we may never attain true wealth. The Stoics believed that those who live in accordance with nature find life easy and straightforward, while those who resist it face constant struggle. This approach provides inner peace, strength, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. By following the rational dictates of reason, individuals can attain the highest good, which is happiness. Seneca's acceptance of life's events, both favorable and unfavorable, stemmed from his belief that everything has a purpose within the grand design of the universe. He understood that even in difficult circumstances, there's wisdom to be gained, making us wiser and stronger in the long run. This perspective encouraged harmony and peace. Furthermore, Seneca held a long-term view of life. He recognized that adversity ultimately contributed to personal growth and a deeper sense of peace. He believed that every individual has a place in the universe, which they can discover by embracing virtue and accepting the events in their life as part of a larger, rational plan. Lesson number 5. Self-care journaling. Seneca, a wise ancient thinker, had many techniques to manage himself. These methods required discovering things about yourself, like the rules of behavior that come naturally, according to Stoic philosophy. Anger will cease and become more gentle if it knows that every day it will have to appear before the judgment seat. What can be more admirable than this fashion of discussing the whole of the day's events? How sweet is the sleep which follows this self-examination? How calm, how sound and careless is it when our spirit has either received praise or reprimand, and when our secret inquisitor and censor has made his report about our morals? I make use of this privilege, and daily plead my cause before myself. One thing Seneca, along with many other Stoics, did was write. He saw writing as a way to improve his mind and spirit. He believed that working on oneself through writing wasn't about judging yourself for rewards or punishments. Instead, it was a tool for self-evaluation and guidance. Seneca's self-examination took the form of daily reflections. Every day he would write about what he did and, most importantly, what he thought and felt. This practice was like having a conversation with himself, a way to step back and see himself more clearly. It was a bit like what Plato talked about in his works. This habit of writing down his daily experiences worked wonders for Seneca and for many others. For me, it helps me think clearly and find peace of mind. Seneca used his daily journaling to free himself from overwhelming emotions and to dive deep into his inner thoughts to better understand himself. Seneca wasn't just a philosopher. He was also a fantastic writer. He's famous for his insightful letters and other writings. His words continue to inspire and teach people today. Lesson number 4. Freedom from judgment. Other men's sins are before our eyes. Our own are behind our backs. Instead of wasting our energy on negative emotions like criticism and judgment towards others, it's better to use that energy for self-improvement. Avoiding judgment can bring lasting peace of mind. The impact of this idea goes beyond the surface and may not be immediately obvious. When we refrain from judging others, it makes us more open, not just to people, but also to new experiences we might consider strange. Constantly criticizing and finding faults in others can be harmful. It not only damages our relationships with others, but can also lead to anger and even narcissism. This can have serious consequences because our own imperfections remain unnoticed, hindering our personal growth. Focusing on self-improvement instead of negativity can lead to a more fulfilling life. When we let go of judgment, we become more receptive to different ideas, perspectives, and hobbies. For instance, we might discover a new interest that we once thought was only for weird people. Being non-judgmental not only benefits us personally, but also enhances our interactions with others. It fosters understanding and empathy, which are essential for building positive relationships. When we stop criticizing and start supporting others, our connections with them tend to improve. Moreover, this shift in mindset can prevent us from becoming overly self-absorbed or turning into narcissists. Constantly focusing on the flaws of others can lead to a distorted self-image and misplaced priorities. And if you're with us on this journey, be sure to subscribe to Stoic Legion now and press that bell icon so you won't miss any of the latest Stoic lessons. Lesson number 3. Live in present. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Living in the present moment is a popular idea, especially today when people are always in a hurry. Many people struggle to find happiness in the here and now because they often believe it's something they can only experience later. Perhaps on the weekend, during a holiday, or at Christmas. You might have heard someone say, "I'll be happy when this project is done and I finally get a day off." Many of us tend to put conditions on our happiness. But according to Seneca, true happiness doesn't depend on conditions. It's something that comes from inside us, no matter what's happening outside. Happiness is a state where you don't worry about fears, problems, hopes, or challenges. It's a state of mind that can't be purchased with money or acquired from external things. Instead, it's something you earn from within yourself, no matter the circumstances. Living in the present and being happy means feeling complete and content just by sitting alone without wanting or needing anything else. You don't give up this moment for some future time that might never come. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the rush and forget to savor the simple moments of life. We often postpone our happiness, thinking it'll arrive when certain conditions are met. We might say to ourselves, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion," or "I'll be happy when I go on that vacation." But the wisdom of Seneca teaches us that true happiness isn't tied to external events or future achievements. It's something that should be cultivated within us, regardless of our circumstances. It's the ability to find contentment and joy in the present moment. Happiness isn't a destination to reach, it's a way of approaching life. When you live in the present, you find happiness in the small things, a warm cup of tea, the sound of rain, or a quiet moment of solitude. It's about appreciating the beauty of now and not sacrificing your current joy for an uncertain future. Lesson number 2. Path to everlasting joy. Pleasure dies at the very moment when it charms us most. As humans, we often swing from one extreme to another. We tend to think that happiness is all about fleeting joys or pushing ourselves to the limit to feel accomplished. But in reality, it's neither of those things. Happiness doesn't come from just seeking pleasure, and it's not about overworking ourselves either. Seneca, a wise philosopher, taught us that true happiness is something deeper, something more meaningful. According to Seneca, it's about putting in the right amount of effort, not too much, not too little, to become a virtuous person. He believed that virtue is the key to genuine happiness. Virtue, in Seneca's words, is the perfect good. It's the only path to lasting happiness. Seneca also warned us that seeking constant pleasure can be a trap. Pleasures lose their meaning when they distract us from reality. So, it's important not to chase pleasure just for pleasure's sake. Instead, we should find pleasure in meaningful and purposeful activities. For instance, the joy of resting after working hard, not just any hard work, but work that helps us become better individuals or gain virtue. The Stoics, like Seneca, believed in an ethical ideal, the wise person. This wise person understands that the world is always changing, and so is their own fate. But this understanding doesn't make them anxious or worried. Instead, it allows them to maintain inner peace, a state known as ataraxia. Lesson number 1. Adjust your mindset. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Often our minds fill up with irrational fears that make us think too much. These fears come from worrying about what others might think of us, being afraid to mess up, or feeling like we're not good enough to succeed. When we let these fears take over, we get stuck in a cycle of indecision. Most of the time, these fears are rooted in our imagination, in the what-ifs. This kind of thinking can lead to overthinking. But here's a simple way to beat fear. Take action. Start by taking a small step toward what you're afraid of and see what happens. The moment you take action is when you start winning the battle against overthinking. Keep taking action and you'll win more battles. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, said, "Fear can be effectively cured by forced repetition of acts of courage." In other words, facing your fears head-on and doing things you're scared of can help you overcome them. Another wise thinker, De Mello, believed that the main cause of unhappiness is the false beliefs we hold in our minds. These beliefs are so common and widely accepted that we often don't question them. We let them dictate our lives and lead us to overthink. Seneca, a famous philosopher, pointed out that we are usually more scared than hurt. This means that our fears are often more about what's going on in our heads than actual concrete problems. Being hurt is real, like a physical injury, but being frightened is more about our thoughts and worries about the future. It's a form of overthinking. Think back to your worries in high school. Looking back, you can probably see that most of them were pretty trivial. They felt like big deals at the time, but in reality, they were just in your head. Overthinking is a harmful habit that doesn't help us in any way. In the pursuit of wisdom, it is crucial to heed the wisdom of shifting one's perspective, for, as Seneca wisely stated, we suffer more from imagination than from reality. By accepting the realities of life and the consequences they bring, including unfavorable circumstances and events, we acknowledge that everything unfolds to serve a greater purpose that may be beyond our immediate understanding. Happiness, we learn, emanates from within and is not solely reliant on external factors. Pleasures should be sought for their deeper meaning. For more insightful wisdom on life's journey, subscribe to our channel now.